writers, you're listening to the Kobo Writing Life podcast, where we bring you insights and inspiration for growing your self-publishing business. I'm your host, Tara Kremen, Director of Kobo Writing Life. I'm really excited for this episode where we bring together our book-selling experts from Kobo to tell us everything that they know and why they started working here and what they love about it. So firstly, we have on the other side of the microphone, Rachel Wharton, Author Engagement Manager for Kobo Writing Life, Deandra Lalonde, Content Sales Lead for North America, and Tiana Loria, Content Sales Specialist for Global Audiobooks and Subscriptions. It was a really wonderful roundtable where we talked all about current trends, what they're reading right now, and tips for self-published authors to make their books really stand out at Kobo. It is a must listen if you are publishing through Kobo Writing Life. Welcome, everyone, to the Kobo Writing Life podcast. I'm so excited today to have this wonderful panel of experts from Kobo who are going to share their insights on successful book selling. We hopefully will dive into trends and tips and predictions and anything that this wealth of knowledge has that can share around that will be helpful for authors for growing their sales on Kobo. So let's kick it off by introducing our guests. I'm going to start with you, Rachel, because you are a familiar voice on the podcast, but now I'm making you go to the other side of the microphone as a guest rather than a host. So can you tell listeners your title and the work that you do at Kobo and maybe about how you got into book selling?
Absolutely. I'm so excited and weirdly nervous to be on this side of the mic. It feels like there's a little more pressure, but I am an author engagement manager on the Kobo Writing Life team, which listeners of the pod might already know. But what that means is I work really closely with the indie author community and with our two guests today, along with other folks who are on the book selling team, to help highlight indie titles on the Kobo store and to help authors find their readers on Kobo. I also host the podcast. I also get to have the privilege of going to conferences and meeting with our authors face to face and really just working closely with our author base to succeed on Kobo. And as to how I got into book selling, I went to university to get a degree in English literature. And like so many folks with a degree in English literature, ended up bartending for about a decade. And during that time, I was trying to figure out what it is I wanted to do next. And I was also being asked by everybody that I worked with to edit essays, to help them with papers. And I realized that was something I really loved. And I really loved working still with kind of books and the written word. So I went to TMU and got a certificate in publishing. I interned at Penguin Random House, and then in 2020 interned at Kobo. And I was very lucky that y'all decided to keep me. And I have been working on the Kobo Writing Life team ever since.
Yeah, our very last intern. We were just like, no more. We're going to keep her forever. And that's it.
Thank you for that.
So next up, I want to welcome back Deandra, who has been on the podcast before, but it has been some time. It's been 5 years. I looked up your last episode, which seems wild. So can you remind listeners who you are and what you do at Kobo, and maybe tell us how you got into working with books?
For sure. First of all, Rachel, I can't believe you only joined in 2020. Like, that has been 5 years, but also that's only been 5 years. Like, yeah, that's crazy.
6 whole weeks in the original office before the pandemic.
And like the last time I was on the podcast was also the year you started here. So yes, hi, I'm Deandra. I'm the content sales lead for North American ebooks a la carte, which basically means I'm a bookseller through and through. I work with our wonderful Kobo Writing Life team, as well as all the trad publishers and distributors, to merchandise books on our site that hopefully customers want to buy and engage with. And it's a very fun job. I kind of fell into this career. I was done my second year of university and looking for an internship in marketing generally. I actually had no idea what marketing entailed. I was just like, I need a job. I want to stay in Toronto this summer. I need something. And Kobo was hiring an intern on the marketing team. And so I joined that way. I didn't really know book publishing was a career. Of course it was, but it had never crossed my mind. I was in political science. I did not consider this as a job, but I fell in love with the company. I ended up leaving after 1 year at Kobo to finish my studies. I had worked full-time and done school. So it was a lot. And my grades were suffering. So I quit after my first year and spent that year working at Indigo selling Kobos and books. So I have been a bookseller my entire career. And once I finished school, I was very lucky that a job had opened up at Kobo. And because I had known people there, I knew the team that was hiring. It was this team. And I have just kind of worked in various roles on this team, but I have been the content sales lead for North America also for about 5.5, 6 years now. I think six years now, because I started right before COVID. I had just done a couple of in-person meetings with some of the publishers in Toronto, and then everything shut down. I had been the content sales lead for Australia, New Zealand before that, so I had never met in person with publishers before. It was so exciting and new, and then none of that. So yeah, I kind of fell into the career, but now I've been here over 15 years, so it feels like, what else would I do?
Love it. Always love hearing about the long-standing Kobos. That's probably the wrong Koboites.
Koboites. That's what we are.
And last but certainly not least, a new voice to welcome to the podcast. I was trying to think have you been on before, Tiana?
I absolutely have not.
Okay, I was wondering if you had jumped on an interview before or not, but okay. So welcome to the podcast, Tiana. Can you tell listeners who you are, what you do at Kobo, and how you got into the world of books?
For sure. So I work on the audiobooks and subscriptions team, where I help to merchandise audiobooks, and I'm the main merchandiser for books in Kobo Plus. My job is very similar to Deandra's, but it's more the audiobook and Kobo Plus side. I feel like I've been a bookseller for like half my life. Actually, thinking about this question suddenly makes me realize that. I started working at Indigo part-time, which was always my dream, dream big. And I was so excited.
Dream for a part-time career.
Yeah, want to sell books to people. But yeah, I got a job at Indigo, and I met some people there who were taking the publishing course. And I was suddenly just like, you can do this like as a job, you can do this as a career kind of thing without being an editor or a writer. And so I did the publishing certificate at TNU as well. And then I got some intern experience in the publishing industry, and eventually it landed me here. So I also started as an intern. I think that's a running theme here. And I was very, very, very grateful to get hired on and eventually work my way to the role that I currently have. So yeah, basically, I really love talking about books. And I think that there's no higher compliment than someone telling you that they loved a book that you recommended to them. And so I made a career out of that. And that's why I'm here.
I love that. Well, we have such a wealth of experience here from the three panelists. And, I like to call you're going to be our in-house book experts. Mm-hmm. So I want to see if there's anything that you can chat to about current trends. So Deandra, let's start with you. What's jumping out as like something that's really being loved by Kobo readers right now?
I mean, the big one from the last few years is no surprise. It's romantasy. Fourth Wing really brought that to the light. But even before that, we had the Sarah J. Maas, Jennifer L. Armentrout. Need that middle initial in there to really hit home. I think during COVID, that really came to light because it was just good escapism from the world we live in. And like, obviously not post-COVID, but through now as well. We just need that way to get out of our world and into a world that maybe isn't any better than this one, but is different. And the romance part of it just adds that nice little spice. I think it's also as like millennials, we, have grown up and we're looking for those connections to our youth. And if you loved like the magic and world building books of like being a teenager, this is that entry point again. And I think it's gotten people excited about reading again because it brings back those feelings you had as a kid, but with the adult side of it. So it's fun as an adult to read. And then obviously in the last few months, sports romance have really come back to the forefront with our friends at Heated Rivalry. That's been a fun one to see take off again. I feel like sports romance and any of those kind of romance subgenres, they have their ebbs and flows depending on the current trends. We've seen sports romance get popular in the past and then kind of go away for a bit and then come back. And now it's definitely back in full force. So those are our two, I would say, biggest like trends of the last few years. Of course, everyone is still reading all different kinds of romance, as well as like mystery and thrillers. And then there's the fiction books that kind of blow up and get really popular. But the romantasy and the sports are really where it's at right now.
And Tiana, the subscription reader can sometimes behave a little bit differently from the a la carte reader. So have you noticed anything different? I'd imagine the trends are maybe a little bit similar, but what have you seen?
Yeah, I mean, there are always going to be those trends. Like, it's also the romantasy. It's also the sports romance. I think people will read those books like Heated Rivalry or Fourth Ring and stuff like that. And then they'll look for things within the catalog that they can expand that on, because suddenly you're craving that type of book, you're craving that type of series kind of thing. What's kind of different with the subscription reader is more like the intention of it all. Like, you're basically like reading in bulk. And so like it's a lot more about the genre fiction. And so there's always going to be that trend towards the mysteries and the thrillers and the romance and the types of books that you can kind of devour one after the other type of thing. So there's definitely overlap with those kind of bigger ones, but the overarching trends are usually within that kind of genre fiction realm. And then it trends towards series reading. Like, what can I do to get the most out of my subscription? Like, I can find this series and read all 10 books in one sitting, hopefully no, but to just keep reading. So yeah, that's usually what we see with subscription.
And Rachel, you're kind of at the intersection of both the a la carte and subscription readers, but with the viewpoint on the self-published authors. So is there anything that you've noticed lately as a bit of a trend?
I think if we're looking at genre, it's pretty similar. A lot of romantasy is coming up. Sports romance. We have a lot of hockey romance being published pretty consistently with KWL authors. But I think that one thing that KWL and indie authors in general really focus on are long-running series. We'll see series that are running beyond the 10 book mark, some approaching the 30 book mark, which is, if you're publishing a 30 book series, like, kudos, that is wild to me. So we see a lot of that in the indie sphere. And with talking to indie authors, one thing that they're really seeing from their readers is, for lack of a better word, niching down of subgenres and tropes and really trying to find that very specific reader. Because I think as readers become more voracious and looking for more of the same books that they already like, they're getting more and more specific with what they want. So they're looking for that small town, slow burn, he's a lumberjack, she owns a bookshop romance, and they want more of that. So I know a lot of indie authors are looking for ways to find that very specific reader. So it's really interesting to see how the indie author community is responding to the fact that readers are starting to learn exactly what they want and trying to connect the two.
Yeah, I know we've talked about in the sports romance world, people looking for pickleball sports romance.
It comes up all the time.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. So Rachel, can you talk a little bit about how you work with Deandra and Tiana to like highlight self-published authors within Kobo's massive catalog?
Absolutely. There are a couple ways that the three of us and other members on their respective teams work together. I annoy them a lot. I am constantly in communication if authors are running a book club, if they're running another promotion individually outside of Kobo. I do my best to flag those price drops with our merchandising team to see if there's any additional space. I have said this before, and I'll say this again. We can never promise merchandising space on store, but if we don't know about promotions that authors are running, we can't ask. So I am consistently asking them, for better or worse, for additional merchandising space. We meet once a month and I will pitch all of our new releases, just like any other publisher would meet with our content sales team. I believe publishers tend to do more of a quarterly basis, but we have the pleasure of getting to hang out once a month. And we'll go through like big new releases for KWL, but really just like any books that I think could use a little bit more push. We'll go through all those books together. And then when it comes to the promotions piece, our lovely content sales team treats KWL like any other publisher. So we get to submit our titles to their promotions. A lot of those are the ones you'll see on the promo tab. And so we get treated both like a regular publisher, but we also have the pleasure of getting to kind of flag anything and everything that's happening on the indie author side with our content sales team.
And for the sake of this conversation, just for brevity, we're focusing on English language, but this also happens in like all the other languages, as we're very much a global company and a global content sales team as well. So I just wanted to point that out for listeners. We're just focusing on the English core markets. But yeah, Tiana, you do a lot of work globally.
Yeah, it's not, yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
You're just like, yes.
We do our best to really put it in front of as many people as we can is basically how we work.
So Deandra, given your kind of long-standing wealth of experience within content sales at Kobo, what promotional tactics do you think prove most effective for authors and publishers? I know maybe those are two questions, but is there anything that's jumped out at you?
I mean, it's a really tough one. I was trying to think about this, and it's hard because the way customers want to buy books and what they're liking changes and it shifts. So I think variety is really the key piece, and not being afraid to change things up and try new things. We have found in the past, if you run the same type of promotion over and over and over again, people are going to stop buying. And if you're putting the same content in every single sale, this is something I caution against publishers and authors doing, is submitting the exact same titles for every single sale. I have in the past put on parameters, like if you have submitted a title in February, do not submit it again in March or April, like wait until May, because our customers, our dedicated ones who are buying the most books, are coming back and checking out every sale. And if they keep saying the same things, if they've already bought it, well, then they're not going to buy it a second time. So they need something new in front of them. And sometimes we can't predict it. We'll be like, the sale does so well. We'll run it every year and it does great every single year. And suddenly it doesn't. And then we need to start thinking about what we're doing differently. So sometimes it's experimenting on a bigger scale, trying totally new campaigns that we think will drive more customers in and like try new things, and we're going all out. Other times it's really slight changes of, well, what if we did the price cap at $5.99 instead of $4.99, or $3.99 instead of $5.99, and just trying those little tweaks and kind of seeing what's sticking, what's not, what are customers relating to and responding to in those changes, and going from there. So it can be tough. There are certain ones where you're like, yeah, tried and true, this works every time, but that's actually getting rarer and rarer. There's every month is a new adventure of what will they like this month, and again, there will be some that you're like, no problem, we know this does well, we have no issues, and suddenly it doesn't, and then you're like, okay, next year we have to, for that month or that promo, we have to try something different. So we are constantly looking at the data and analyzing what is working and what isn't. We're not just sitting back and running through the same cycles, even if it seems like we are sometimes. I promise we are not. And yeah, so it's really variety and trying to remember that our customers are on the store a lot and they want to see something new and different. They don't want to see the same things over and over again.
What are ones that stand out to you? I remember, I think, was it the Weird Girl Summer one I thought was great that performed? Maybe that was like in Australia specifically, but I'm just wondering if there's any that jump out at you to trying. I know there's the Lovers and Haters.
Yeah, that's the one I was just going to say. So our colleague Tash, who does Australia, New Zealand, and UK, she's done this campaign for a few years, and now we're going into our second year running it, and it's for Valentine's Day, and it's, lovers versus haters, like whether you love it or you hate it. We have something for everyone for Valentine's Day. If you love it and you love the romance, we have romance for you. If you hate it, we have murder books for you. You can lean right into the murder and the thriller and edge of your seat, and you don't need romance. You don't need that to make you happy. So that's a really fun one. And that's kind of the interesting thing with our team too, where we have all these different geos and territories. What works in one might not work in another. So last year, we'd been doing the usual romance Valentine's sales for a few years, and they had just kind of gotten stagnant and we weren't happy with the performance. So we had seen that Tash had been running this pretty consistently to great success in Australia, New Zealand, UK. And we said, let's try it in North America, but that's always a risk. It could totally not perform at all. It could be not what customers are looking for. They might not get it. They might not really want it, but they did. And so that was great. And we're able to like ping pong off of each other and try different ideas that we see work in other territories. So like our team meets every week and we can talk about those things of like, oh, we did this great promo in Italy last week. It was all based around this one thing and it was really successful. And, you know, sometimes those will be like, that sounds very Italy specific. You know, I don't think that's going to translate here. And other times you're like, what a cool idea. I'm definitely going to do that. So we do a lot of internal discussions and seeing what's working and what's not and kind of going from there.
And just to kind of like jump in, these are conversations that also happen between the KWL team and content sales. So I'm sure our authors are familiar. We've run a handful of promotions now where we're looking for books that are $4.99 and under, but they don't have to be discounted. They can be a 99-cent book that we are selling for 99 cents. And the idea to run promos like that actually came from Deandra being like, hey, I think you have great content that could do this. Why don't you try it? And it's worked really well for us. So it's really cool to have different wealths of knowledge from all over the world kind of ping-ponging ideas off each other to find what's going to work best both for the customer and for the authors that we have.
And that was something that actually didn't work well for me. And I was like, why don't you try it? Because I really want this to work well for someone. It did not work for me, but it worked really well for you. So it's nice when we can have an idea that like, just because it doesn't work in one space, it might work really well in another.
And Tiana, so promoting subscription books is kind of a different thing because you don't necessarily have that discount to entice the reader. So could you talk to any of the promotional strategies that you have found successful with Kobo Plus?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not about like this book is on sale. It's about like they've already paid for the subscription, right? So it really is about content discovery and to show them what's available in the catalog, what's available to them, what like from what might be trending, some more books like we talked about earlier that they could potentially read that or listen to that really speaks to that craving or that mood read or whatever it might be. So we typically run these monthly campaigns, which is something that we started last year. And those are based, every month is a different genre, or a different trend or theme, whatever it may be. And the whole point of it is to surface books to customers and to give them an idea of kind of what is in the catalog for them. So it's both ebooks and audiobooks. It focuses sometimes on new releases or it focuses on new to the catalog, just basically trying to get those books in front of customers and surface them. And then within that, we're kind of hoping for things like author discovery or series discovery. And then we work closely with KWL with that type of stuff as well to kind of see like, hey, that author you love is in Kobo Plus. You can add all their books to your library and you can read them all or listen to them all. And then that's just basically how we run it is what can we show you and what are you interested in kind of thing.
Nice. I love that. It's like a different challenge, but we have just so many good books. It's like a way of surfacing them all.
Exactly. It's like, look at these. You can read them and you'll love them.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for self-published authors who want to make their books stand out in Kobo Plus?
Yeah, I think when it comes to content specifically, and kind of selling your story, it's kind of about how you're presenting it. So like tropes are great. We love tropes. But when you're talking about your tropes, I would pull out what else is interesting about that synopsis. Like what else is interesting about the plot? What's the quirk? What's the hook? You know, like maybe it's enemies to lovers, but you know, maybe it's because one of them hates cheese and the other one sells cheese, you know, like I'm not a writer, so don't take my advice on that.
Eating cheese?
You're right. That's crazy. But, you know, like, what is that thing about your book that's different from the other ones in that trope? Tropes are a great way to like kind of snip it and like capture that small, quick plot point of your book. But in the tagline, in the title, like in the cover, like how can you kind of pull the reader in otherwise and make it stand out from the others? Which also leads me to my second point there. Cover design is going to be a big one. When you're an online retailer, the first thing people are going to see is the cover. You know, we want to be able to say like, don't judge a book by its cover, but that's what people are basing it on. Like, that's the first thing they're going to see. Sometimes it's the only thing that they see. So, make it enticing, make it represent your book the way that you want it to be represented, and sell it the way you want it to sell, and keep it consistent in whatever way, whether that's over series or like the author themselves, like over their books, and kind of make it enticing for the reader.
And Deandra, what do you look for when you're promoting a book or a series or a specific author? Is there something that you're looking for in particular?
I just want to reiterate the cover thing first, because that is so true. I actually wrote down, don't judge a book by its cover. Unfortunately, is like not a thing we can say here, because it is all we have on an e-retail site. So they really are all customers can see and actually judge whether they want to click through and read more about that book. There's not that tactile experience. But I do also think we're seeing a bit more of the importance of like covers and stuff in the physical book space too, with, the stores doing exclusives with sprayed edges and things like that. People really are leaning into the beauty of a book cover right now. I think that's a bigger trend on the print side, but it doesn't mean we can't replicate it a little bit on the e-side. And it really does make a big difference if your title's really small or something. Like, the thumbnail for a book cover on our site is really tiny. You need to make sure it's like popping and standing out. For me, when I'm merchandising, book covers are not like the be all and end all. They do make a difference, but I kind of the same thing as what I was saying about campaigns is variety is important. I really merchandise with the approach of finding what's best for the customer. What are our customers looking for? What are they going to want to see? And making sure that every customer feels seen and like they want to shop with us. If they open an email with, say, 8 books and 6 of them are romance, for like an all genre sale, not a romance specific sale, but an all genre sale. If 6 of them are romance and 2 are fiction and they like mystery, well, they're going to close out of that email. They're not going to click through. So when I'm choosing what is going into an email or onto our website, I'm really trying to make sure there is a variety, that when they see just those 6 covers in a list that or 5 or 6, whatever it is, to click through, that it's not all one genre, unless it is a genre specific list, that they are seeing something that will make them go, ooh, that one specific book makes me more curious. I'm going to click through. So there's definitely that variety piece again. And, I do look at sales and the analytics data side of things to see what's performing, what's not performing, to give me a sense of trends. But I also do like to use the power I have as a bookseller to lift up some books or authors that maybe don't have as many sales. Like, just because one book is outselling another doesn't mean that book is better than that other book. And I think it's a really fun power to have, to be able to lift up those voices that maybe don't get the front shelf placement at a bigger bookstore. We have that ability to kind of change things up really quickly if we want to, and try it and see. And I think it makes a big difference. I've heard from Rachel and the KWL team before, when we have given those little extra bumps here and there, it makes a big difference to that person. So I do try and think of the books and the authors themselves and how they will feel, even if it's ones that don't even know who Kobo is, have no idea what we're doing and will never see it. I do try and think of it in that way too, that these are people who've worked really hard on their books, and I really want to give them the space that they deserve. So it's a lot of different pieces when I'm thinking about merchandising. It's never just sales or just book covers or just this or that. It is a whole collection of reasons why I will choose certain books to place. And sometimes it's very hard. If I do only have 8 slots in an email, winnowing it down and choosing which ones get to go where, it can be really tough because there's so many good books. I'm like, but that one and that one. And I really want to put them all in front of customers, and choosing our best of month and our best of year. They are the most fun and the most stressful things to choose, because I'm no, I just want to give everyone space. There are so many good books. So yeah, it's both a blessing and a curse, this job.
What a wonderful problem to have.
Yeah, there's too many good books.
Book world problems.
Yeah.
Rachel, I want to come to you to see, do you have advice, or do you see any common mistakes that indies make publishing through KWL that might hinder their merchandising opportunities?
I do have a handful. So sticking with cover design, because that has kind of been brought up a few times, one thing that I would highly encourage authors to look at is if they are selling box sets, to avoid a 3D book cover. So if you go to the KWL Help Center, there's a whole article on building a box set book cover. We haven't really talked about it yet, but box sets are really popular with Kobo readers, both a la carte, especially in the subscription. The ease of, I know I like this series, or I know I want to read a police procedural mystery, and there's 3 of them here. I can binge watch it like a season of SVU. Like that is like, readers love that. But if you have a 3D box cover or box set cover, it's tiny on the store. Our thumbnails are already small. If you're making it smaller, it's so hard to see what is on that cover. And like Deandra and Tiana have both said, customers are judging books by covers to see if they want to click through. So that's my first one, is with cover design. If you're doing box sets, I highly recommend doing a 2D cover. And I also recommend looking at other covers within your genre. You want your book to stand out. You want readers to be drawn to it, but you also want readers to know what your book is. So if your book is a sweet romance, like small town, really cute, and your cover looks scary, you're not going to find the right readers. So I definitely recommend doing a little bit of research while you're doing your cover design and finding something within your genre that's similar, and then saying, okay, how does my book differ from this? And how can I show it on the cover while still welcoming those readers in? So that's cover.
Wild, sorry, just staying on cover, about how it's sort of important to stay on the trends, because for a while, those like almost cartoony animated covers only meant that this was a rom-com, but that's not the case anymore. They're being used in more like mystery, certainly in cozies and things like that. So I definitely would recommend as well, if you've been publishing for a little while, perhaps like take a look at your covers from a few series ago, or if it's been like 10 years since you've kind of looked at them, the trends might have slightly shifted.
And that's the really cool thing about being in the indie space, is you have that control. You can be like, you know what, like this romance came out when the object only covers were really hot, and that's not really a trend anymore. Do I have the resources to kind of look at that again and see if I can bring those books back into like what's hot right now? With pricing, in Kobo Writing Life, authors have the opportunity to set pricing in all of the currencies, and highly recommend. Our auto converting tool will convert prices to something that's a little less pretty. And as consumers, we've kind of all been trained to see a price that ends in like 0.49 or 0.99 to be a quote unquote normal price. And so as a customer, if you're seeing something that's priced at like $4.61, that can be a little bit off-putting. So I highly recommend authors set their prices in currencies, especially if you're publishing in English, looking at the big 5 English currencies: Canadian, USD, Australian dollars, New Zealand dollars, and British pounds, and making that price attractive, and round up a little bit. If you're auto converting to like $2.41, go to $2.99, make that extra 50 plus cents on every sale, and customers will be more attracted to that price. And when I'm going through 800 plus submissions for one sale where I don't have 800 spots, looking for those attractive prices is a consideration. So highly recommend optimizing your pricing. And then with metadata, for me, the big thing is series. If you are writing a series, make sure your books are linking by having your series name identical across every book. Even if there's an extra space, if your book is like The Cozy Mysteries, and every book is The Cozy Mysteries, and then one of them is The Cozy Space Mysteries, it's not going to link properly. So those are my big ones. Make sure your series is linking, make sure your pricing is pretty, and really focus on your cover, because that's what customers are seeing. And they, time is precious. We're all very busy. If someone's going to click through and make that extra step to go to your product page, make sure your cover is enticing them to do that.
Yeah, I know we're a global company, but we are Canadian first. So if your Canadian pricing isn't looking good, Deandra's going to be mad.
Yes, so mad. And Rachel's going to hear about it.
So guys, do this for me.
So a question for all of you. Sort of the big discussion in the indie world is making the decision to publish exclusively on one platform versus publishing widely on all of the platforms. So just speaking, I guess, to indie authors that have this kind of decision to make, Tiana, why do you think that it's important to make sure that books are published widely?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the technicality of it all, but I think that as a bookseller at Kobo, like we want to merchandise your stuff. Like we are very, very interested in selling your books. And we want to put it in front of our customers. Like we love it. The customers love it. Like we are on your side kind of thing. And we love KWL. We're so grateful for the content. It's so great for the subscription. And so just to have someone that is actually interested in you as an author, in your stories, I think is just goes such a long way and is so valuable to kind of have someone in your corner in that sense.
Nice. I love that. What do you think, Deandra?
Yeah, I think for, again, like coming from a customer first approach, which is really, again, how I look at things is like, we want to make our customers and our readers happy. And I think going wide just really allows for a greater readership and more inclusivity. Like we have so many dedicated Kobo readers, and we don't want to drive people into feeling like they're stuck in one ecosystem. I can see the conversation online sometimes of people wanting to like come over to Kobo, or not even just to like get out of one ecosystem into another, and they feel like they can't because they're stuck with like that catalog. And so I think publishing wide just allows customers to feel more in control of their libraries and be able to choose who they want to support retailer wise without feeling like they're sacrificing losing a catalog or losing a favorite author or something. And it lets our readers not feel like they're left out because they can't read XYZ book because it's not wide. So I think it just makes for stronger readership, better readership, and like more dedicated fans for both us, but also like the authors. And like it would suck when your favorite author releases a book, one book wide and the next book exclusive. It's like, oh, now I can't read I want to read every book they put out and I can't. So I think it just makes for stronger readers.
And I think there's kind of this trend towards people aren't as loyal to things as they used to be with different prices and changing dynamics and stuff like that. Like people jump around a lot. And so to be able to have your stuff available wide means that they will find it wherever they're kind of jumping around in that case.
Yeah, that's a great point. I know we've been sort of talking a little bit about like the promotional work that goes on, but Rach, can you chat a bit about how if you're hopping in and out of exclusivity, it can hinder promotional efforts?
Absolutely. I think a lot of the promotions that authors see are things that are author facing. So the promo tab, for example, where any in-house promotion that is happening is there. But there's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes as well with merchandising and flagging books, flagging authors with the content sales merchandising teams being like, hey, like, I think this could be highlighted, or going through all of our new releases and being like, hey, I think this book looks great. And then come release day, it's no longer on Kobo and we can no longer merchandise it. So I think that can really hinder, because then it's hard to guarantee whether or not those titles will remain on store, which makes it harder for me to promote them because I can't pitch titles that aren't going to stay on Kobo as frequently. So I think that really hinders. And then kind of to what Tiana and Deandra were saying, if books are hopping in and out of exclusivity, readers aren't going to be trained to look for your books, because if they're like, oh, you know what, I went to go find book 2 and it wasn't available here, they probably are less likely to look for book 3. So it's one of those things where, like, you know, you're running a business, authors have to choose what's best for them. But on the reader side of it and on the like merchandising side of it, it's really hard when there's no guarantee or no conversation about whether or not books are going to remain on Kobo. And it makes it a lot harder to be able to champion those books and champion those titles when we don't know if we're going to have them.
Yeah, from a practical perspective, I know, Rachel, that you're juggling multiple calendars, but how far ahead do you all work?
It depends on what specific thing. Like with new releases and content calendars, like we fill them out as soon as we have any information about a new release. But like Rachel said, we meet about once a month to go over the upcoming month's releases. So usually about a month ahead for new releases. And then for promo content, we work about 3 to 6 weeks out from when a promotion is going live. So from when I reach out to publishers, to Rachel, to everyone about a promotion to like when the promotion is done is probably about a 9 to 10 week period.
I don't know how you guys are constantly being able to, like, I know with Rachel, she's like working 2 months ahead, but then also analyzing the previous month. And there's just like calendars and, you know, it's like that meme of the lady with all the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel like Charlie Day with his, always sunny.
Yeah.
Always
and then
sunny.
then the new year hits and you're working in 2 different year calendars and you're trying to coordinate the two. It's a great time.
Yeah.
And you've also pushed everything off to the new year.
Yeah.
The work that you've forgotten about.
And then I had a publisher yesterday asking about something for November, like this coming November. Yeah. So, you know, it really.
Yeah, I will say that, like, and I can only really speak for myself, but I think this goes for all of us, is that we have our promo calendar and we'll be putting things in throughout the year. So like, I also have something planned for November already.
Yeah.
But then there's like little gaps. And so there is a calendar for the full year. So like we are working for a full 12 months at a time while like analyzing the previous month, running a promotion during this month, building the promo for the next month, and then planning the promos in the future. So we're all working in like 5 different times.
Yeah, like sometimes I'll say to Rachel, like, can we figure out author of the month for April? She'll be like, I'm not there yet.
Q2 doesn't exist to me yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what month it is at any given time, really.
Yeah,
not at all.
Wow. You guys have it's I don't know how you manage it. It's great. Hats off to you all. So I'm curious about, just thinking as we're winding down here, what kind of excites you about working at Kobo in 2026, given that we've all kind of worked here for quite a while now? Or is there any initiatives that you're very excited about? So Rachel, I'll start with you.
Great. I'm really excited about continuing to build on what Kobo has already built, both like especially building in Kobo Plus. Kobo Writing Life authors are really lucky in that what a lot of our authors write is in genre fiction. And that is what really works for subscription readers. That's what subscription readers really like to read. So I'm really excited to keep working with Tiana to continue to boost KWL visibility within Kobo Plus. So I'd say that's a big one for me. I also just like, I have the best time at work. I get to come to work and talk about books and then go to the office and be a little bit silly with my friends. So like, I have a great time. So I think growing Kobo Plus and then also just continuing to work closely with authors. I love getting to go to conferences. I love doing one-on-ones with authors and I love hosting the podcast. So getting to have that FaceTime with our authors and with industry professionals is also something that I look forward to every year. Pretty vague answer, but that's what
you're doing okay as a guest, I will say.
So much. That means so much to me.
Deandra, what's exciting you this year about working at Kobo?
Yeah, I think mine will also be a bit vague, but I think we're in for like a pretty big year. It's been really exciting over the last couple years to see the awareness around Kobo grow. I think looking after Canada and the US, you know, we're seeing a lot of growth in the US space. And so that's been really exciting. Obviously, a lot of Canadians know who we are because we were born here and we're a big presence in Indigo and stuff. But in the US, we're definitely not as well known. And so it's been really exciting to see that change in the last year or so. And I'm looking forward to seeing that change more. I'm also just like really excited about our current like hardware lineup, like what we have out. Like I love my Color e-reader. I love it so much. And then I have the Kobo remote now. And I got like one of those contraptions for Christmas where your thing is held for you, your e-reader is held for you. And so I can like fall asleep on my back with my hands tucked warmly under my covers and my remote. And it's just like so pleasing. So I am just like generally excited with the way Kobo listens to what people want and what people need and tries to find a way to make that happen. So the remote's been like a great new thing on the device side, something I am so not a part of, but like am thrilled to take advantage of when they're available. So yeah, I'm just excited for continued growth. Like I think we're on a really nice trajectory right now. We're very stable and steady, and that leaves us a little bit more room to experiment more, like I said, and find new exciting ways to grow our catalog together. And so yeah, I'm just looking forward to that this year.
Nice. I had no idea this remote would be as popular with customers. Like, we have sold out every time it's been restocked. It's wild.
Every once in a while I go visit the like Kobo subreddit to see what people are saying and stuff. And like the other day people were like, I didn't want to brave like the snowstorm. My Indigo that's like 15 kilometers away had one remote in stock, so I was going to wait till the morning, or they had like 78 in stock and I was going to wait till the morning, and they're already sold out. And people are just really want this remote. But I was not that surprised, because I've seen in the Kobo subreddit all of the like tricks people had used and like these other remotes, like off-brand remotes people had used beforehand. I was like, I think this is going to be really popular.
I thought it was going to be popular, but I don't think I realized how widespreadly popular it was going to be. But like my dad, dedicated listener to the pod. So hi, Tim. He thought he was going to get one for Christmas and was really upset when he didn't get one. And I was like, I didn't think that like you were the target audience for this. This has been remedied. I was able to get one in the last restock. He's very happy.
Yeah, but Rachel was very stressed about not being able to get one if it's sold out quick
really
enough.
Stressed. I was messaging people on the device team being like, hey, when can I get this? So yeah, the remote, it's a hot commodity.
My brother lives in New York City, and so in the US it was available a little longer than it was in Canada before it sold out. And so I was able to buy one from the US store and ship it to him for Christmas. And I was like, great news. You don't need to bring this present back home with you. It's already there.
People really love a cozy reading accessory. Yeah. That's something that I've learned recently. If it's anything to do with cozy hobbies, cozy reading, whatever it is, they love it.
I know. I'm just like, I'm the monster that's like, wait, something I have to be responsible for charging or adding batteries to. I can't. But I'm sure if I ever used one, I'd be like, I never want to go back.
You won't. If I leave it upstairs and I'm reading downstairs, I'm like, oh, I should have brought my remote downstairs. Like, oh, my hand's so tired now.
Well, Tiana, I didn't want to leave you out of that question. I know we've covered a lot of the fun things about Kobo, but what's exciting for you for working at Kobo in 2026?
Yeah, I think my answer is going to be pretty similar to Rachel's. I'm really excited about growing Kobo Plus. We have such a phenomenal catalog. Like, it's so exciting and so much fun to work with Kobo Plus. And it's just the best thing to watch it grow and to watch the catalog continue to grow. And I love like working with Rachel with KWL, like seeing the authors grow within Kobo Plus and watching them and how they use the subscription to their advantage. Like, it's just been so much fun, and experimenting with different authors and surfacing different titles and stuff. Like, we just have a great time. And so I love being able to see that. And I love being able to be a part of it. So I think I'm just excited to just keep on with that journey.
So what is hopefully a very easy question for you all, but what are you reading right now, or what are you excited about that's being released this year? I'll give you two options, Tiana.
Okay, so I'm reading Meet the Newmans by Jennifer Niven, and I'm listening to a memoir called Black Bear by Trina Moyles. And I will also say that I'm very excited about the sequel to The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, Knave in the Moon.
I knew this question would be a multiple book answer. I should have foreseen. Deandra, what about you? What are you reading and what are you excited about?
I have a literal paragraph written.
Excellent. Give it to us.
I'm so sorry. But I couldn't. It's like choosing best of year. I can't choose just one. Okay, I'll make it quick. So I am working my way through the other books in the Game Changers series. Like, I've already read Hated Rivalry and Game Changers. So I'm doing a mix of ebooks and audiobooks for that. I also finally listened to the audiobook of Quicksilver by Kelly Hart, which was very popular last year. I'm in a romance book club. And the book we're reading this month is not really romance, I would say, but it's really interesting, called Sky Daddy by Kate Folk. It's about a woman who is actually like in love with planes, is attracted to planes. So it's a weird one. It's really interesting. I'm about halfway through that one. I'm also a holistic nutritionist. And so my current nutrition read is Hooked by Michael Moss. I think that any book that like dives into ultra processed foods and the food industry is really interesting, and like how we really are not in control of what we eat. Fascinating. Books I'm looking forward to. I'll make this quick. The new Carly Fortune, I will read anything by her. Really looking forward to that. There's a new Emily St. John Mandel coming out in the fall. That one, I can't wait. I know John, I can't wait for that one too. New Emma Straub in the spring. And then a few memoirs that are coming out in March. Christina Applegate, Lindy West, and Jenny Lawson. I'm done.
Seconded.
Yeah, same.
Well, Rachel, what about you? What are you reading right now? And what are you excited about?
So I recently finished one book that was on my most excited about reads for 2026, which is the new Emily Austen, Is This a Cry for Help? We had the pleasure of interviewing Emily Austen on the podcast, but I know Tiana's a really big fan, and she read an advanced copy of Is This a Cry for Help?
Literally,
and then
right there.
was like, you immediately need to read this like as soon as possible. And she was right. That book was phenomenal. The way that she writes characters, it's like she's inside my head sometimes, which is both fantastic and oh God. So that was great. So last year I was getting like a little bit of flack for only listening to deeply depressing audiobooks. And so I'm currently, listen, it's true. But now I've done a 180 and I'm currently listening to this phenomenal audiobook called, I had to pull it up to make sure I get the subtitle correctly, Welcome to the Family, the explosive story behind Fast and Furious, the blockbusters that supercharged the world.
You've told me to read this no fewer than 10 times.
It's incredible. The way that this franchise has both shaped Hollywood and the way that Hollywood has shaped the franchise, the fragile male egos on this set, it's bananas these movies ever got made. And I love Fast and the Furious so much. Cannot recommend it enough. And another anticipated release, I only had one, but the new Christina Applegate memoir. I love her so much. I can't wait to read that book or listen to it because I will probably do audio.
Rachel, on movies and fun audiobooks, and Lindy West, if you haven't read Shit Actually, which is her book that like goes over movies, and it's so hysterically funny. I listened to the audiobook and I would have to stop walking my dogs because I was like doubled over cramping laughing so hard at it. And that one is incredible. So
I listened to that one running and would have to stop because I choke laughing so hard. But every movie that she reviews in that book is rated on a scale of 1 to 10 DVDs of The Fugitive. It's such a good book.
It's such a good book. Yeah.
Rachel, I'm a little offended about people telling you read such depressing nonfiction last year, considering I recommended a lot of it to you.
Really good.
I mean, they seemed like good books, but it just became to a point where it would be like Rachel would be like, "Oh, I'm listening to this book. You've got it," and I'm like, "I know my mood's too good. I can't learn about how bad the world is. Like, I'm not right in this moment."
We know we don't need any more info on it. I don't need to deep dive on how bad the world is.
It would be like, did you know this company's even worse than you thought it was? They're like, cool. Thanks.
No More Tears is a really good book.
Oh yeah, No More Tears is a great one. Whenever you're ready to dive into that hole, just let us know.
I just have to have the right frame of mind.
Flipping from like Game Changers, like gay hockey romance, to that, it's going to be a tough one for me. It's going to be a no. It's going to be a no for me. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for giving up a few hours of your workday to come and chat with us on the podcast. I really appreciate your time and hope listeners enjoyed. And just, thanks. I love working with you guys and appreciate that you're able to share your love of books with our audience.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to the Kobo Writing Life podcast. If you're interested in any of the books that we talked about, we'll include links in our show notes. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe. And if you're looking for even more tips on your self-publishing business, you can follow us on socials. We are at Kobo Writing Life on Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads. This episode was hosted by Tara Kremen with production by Terrence Abrahams. Editing is provided by Kelly Robotham, and our theme music is composed by Tearjerker. And thank you to my wonderful colleagues, Rachel, Deandra, and Tiana, for being such great guests. If you're ready to start your publishing journey, sign up today at kobo.com/writinglife. Until next time, happy writing.